Picture this. You're walking through the greatest library in the 10th century Europe. Books stretch endlessly. 400,000 handwritten manuscripts, their pages filled with the wisdom of civilization. The catalog alone takes up 44 volumes. Now imagine that the mastermind behind this intellectual empire was a former slave who taught children math in the streets during her lunch breaks. Her name was Lubna Al-Qurtobia, and history barely whispers it. While European kings in the north could barely scribble their names, Córdoba was literally glowing. Paved streets, street lamps, running water, and centers of learning that made Paris look like a village. But this isn't just another story about Al-Andalus's golden age. This is about the woman who quietly changed everything. One book, one translation, one street lesson at a time. And she started as a slave. Lubna was born into slavery, likely from Spanish Christian descent, and sold into the court of Sultan Abdurrahman III. In most times and places, that would have been her entire story, forgotten, voiceless, invisible. But the 10th century Córdoba wasn't most places, and Lubna Al-Qurtobia wasn't most people. Within those palace walls, something extraordinary happened. This woman, who couldn't even own herself, began to own every room she entered. Secretary, scribe, poet, mathematician, one promotion at a time, one brilliant idea at a time. Eventually, she caught the attention of Caliph Al-Hakam II, and this is where her story gets absolutely interesting. Al-Hakam II was what we'd call today a total book nerd. Obsessed doesn't even cover it. This man was building the medieval equivalent of Google's headquarters, and he needed someone who could handle the impossible. Enter Lubna. Let me put this in perspective. While European cathedral libraries were bragging about their 50 to 100 books, Al-Hakam II's library held over 400,000. Some sources say 600,000. Every single page copied by hand. And Lubna wasn't just organizing the catalog. She was the catalog. She was acquiring rare texts from Cairo, Damascus, and Baghdad, flying to knowledge centers like a medieval academic jet setter, managing teams of scribes, making this library the intellectual heartbeat of Europe. But here's where it gets really incredible. She wasn't just collecting knowledge. She was creating it, taking ancient Greek texts by Euclid and Archimedes, translating them into Arabic, and then, get this, writing her own commentary and corrections in the margins. Imagine sitting with geometry scrolls that were already centuries old, finding mistakes that Greek masters missed, and having the confidence to fix them. That was Tuesday for Lubna. The male scholars, they didn't just tolerate her, they respected her. In a world where women rarely had voices, she had become the voice they all listened to. But Lubna's brilliance didn't stay locked in palace walls. Picture this, the most powerful intellectual in the Islamic world walking through Córdoba streets, stopping to teach random kids multiplication tables and logic puzzles. No payment, no recognition, just pure love for learning. Her street-side lessons became legendary. Children would wait for her daily walks, knowing that the woman who managed Europe's greatest library would teach them for free. The historian Ibn Bashkwal later wrote that she excelled in writing, grammar, and poetry, and was proficient in other sciences as well. Then he dropped this line: "There were none in the Umayyad palace as noble as her." In a court filled with princess and powerful men, the woman who started as a slave had learned that level of respect. So why isn't Lubna Al-Qurtobia a household name like Ibn Sina or Al-Khwarizmi? Here's the uncomfortable truth. History has a habit of forgetting women, especially women who don't fit neat categories. Lubna's story doesn't come with dramatic wars or palace intrigue. No scandal, no rebellion, no Hollywood-worthy endings. Just excellence. Every single day. She built bridges between civilizations through translation. She empowered generations through education. She transformed a royal collection into a treasure chest of global knowledge. But quiet revolutions don't make for epic poems or dramatic chronicles. So she was written out, footnoted away, reduced to whispers. Lubna's story hits different in 2025. At a time when we are fighting for representation in STEM, remember that over 1,000 years ago, a former slave became the most trusted intellectual advisor to caliphs. When we talk about breaking glass ceilings, remember Lubna was shattering barriers while Europe was still in the Dark Ages. Her legacy isn't just about being a brilliant woman in a man's world, or a non-Arab thriving in an Arab dynasty, or a former slave becoming palace nobility. It's about what she proved. Knowledge doesn't belong to any gender, race, or social class. It belongs to those who seek it, protect it, and share it. Lubna Al-Qurtobia died around 984 CE, but her story lives on every time someone translates a text, teaches a child, or refuses to let barriers define their potential. If you want to remember Muslim Spain, not just for its architecture or empires, but for its thinkers and scholars, then remember Lubna. Not because she was rare, but because there were probably thousands like her, buried under layers of forgotten history. It's time we dig them back up, starting with her. May Allah accept her efforts.